We are living in very interesting times right now. I'd love to be able to simply kick back, turn on a game, immerse myself in it, escape the real world for a little while, but unfortunately, more and more these crazy, deluded, dangerous people are trying to put a stop to that. There are so many out there, sadly, who want to turn games into propaganda machines. They want to turn our entertainment, series, characters, games, TV, movies. They want it all to just be a vehicle to push their own agenda. Nothing more. You've got to go to work. You've got to be talked down to because of all the DEI, all the different practices they have now, where if you're simply, say, a he, him, like I am, if you're just a regular everyday person, you haven't changed your gender or some other nonsense, if you're not special, then you deserve to be talked down to, lectured to, and you should have a bad time. And then when you get home from work, well, you can't just simply enjoy entertainment products. You need to be put in your place there as well. So it's all infecting video games, all sorts of other entertainment as well. Unfortunately, these people are starting to be exposed. Obviously, the Sweet Baby Inc. stuff. But we're also seeing, for instance, here, the Libs of TikTok account, they posted a video of a game developer who might be a teensy bit racist. And I mean genuinely racist, not the sort of stuff that these people claim where, oh, if you don't have white guilt, then you're a racist. I mean, this is genuinely quite bad. Now, this has done the rounds in the last day or so you might be familiar with it, but we're going to have a look at this and then also see what these insane defenders of this person are saying. As usual, you'd think common sense, everyone would be on the same page. Once you see this, you'll understand that this person, what they're saying, it's totally unacceptable. They should be named and shamed. But you still get these ridiculous, brainwashed people who, after seeing this, oh no, it's actually all gamers' fault, especially white gamers. They're still to blame. Don't worry about all this. Now I'm going to give you the context. So, Libs of TikTok, they say, this is Dani Lalondes, a non-binary game developer. She was hired by Cliffhanger Devs to create a game based on Marvel's Black Panther, and I believe Cliffhanger Devs, they're either an EA studio or they're funded or something by EA, because this Black Panther game, it is an EA product. So essentially, EA are happy having this person work for them. She says she doesn't hire white people because they're unsafe and it's hard to work with them, and she only hires people of color. Well, poor Dani. She's got all the problems in the world, all these unhinged, crazy white people. How does she go about her day? I feel sorry for her. The big question, though, is this Cliffhanger Devs' official policy? Do they agree with this person? Well, let's see exactly what she's got to say.
I have a team of 21 right now for Validate. It's a pretty big team. It's a crazy big team for indie games. But who is your team? Validate has a team of mostly all people of color. We have no white people on our team.
Okay, no white people on the team. Thank God you said it. Thank God you're bragging about it. This is great stuff. And the game she's talking about, Validate, it is an indie title. It's a little dating game. You can get it on Steam for the great price of $21 in my country. And essentially, it's only black people dating together. It is fixated on race. Yet another game where obviously gameplay is the main focus, certainly not politics. It couldn't all be about pushing a certain agenda, and of course, it's all about being the victim. They've all got it so hard.
I did that because I wanted to create a safe environment. And I know the best way for an environment to be safe is to be around people who are just like me. And I'm not saying that white people in the industry are creating unsafe environments.
Okay, so she says that the reason that this studio of 21 people is only black employees, and she's done the hiring, this was her decision. The 21 people, they're only black employees, or at the very least, there are no white people there. If you submitted your resume and you had a photo on it, which some people do, and you have white skin, she's throwing it in the trash. She is specifically discriminating based on race. And I was brought up, I don't know about you, but I was brought up, most people I know were brought up to believe that that was a very bad thing, that we should judge people on their character, not on other factors like this, race, Are you disabled? Age? All these sorts of things. But apparently for her, it's totally okay. This isn't hush-hush. You would think anyone doing this, because obviously it does go on. People do discriminate based on a number of factors. But usually they're clever enough, or at least they feel the need to hide that information. They'll make up an excuse not to hire you. But she is proudly going on social media to tell us all about the great work she's doing by not hiring anyone who is white, essentially anyone of a skin color that she doesn't like. And her excuse is even worse. The reason for it is apparently if you have white skin and you work around her, you're creating an unsafe environment. You didn't necessarily do anything. This wasn't because of your actions. Purely because of what you look like, what is outside of your control, you are creating a safe environment and you deserve to be punished, which means you are not going to get a job there. Now, I am just going to replay this section because she also says something extremely telling.
I wanted to create a safe environment. And I know the best way for an environment to be safe is to be around people who are just like me. And I'm not saying that white people in the industry are creating unsafe environments. I'm not saying that. That is not what I'm saying.
This excuse gets trotted out all the time. Where someone says something that is obviously bad, it's insane that if you work with her and you've got white skin, you're creating an unsafe environment. But because deep down, she kind of knows that she's saying something that shouldn't be acceptable, she follows it up by saying, I am not saying that white people create unsafe environments. That is exactly what you were saying. You don't delete that. You don't disregard that by just following it up by going, oh, I'm not saying this, I'm not saying that. You are literally saying that. The next sentence, it purely exists. You're only saying the next bit to try to cover yourself or something. It's not going to work. You have shown your true colors. This is what you believe. And we'll continue here.
I am saying that sometimes it is hard to work with white people because they think that something may be okay, but it was really a microaggression. And no one wants to deal with it.
Microaggression. I forgot about those. Forget everything I said. It's all okay. I forgot about all those tedious microaggressions. That's really sad. I'm not going to even look up what that is. I assume it's something to do with being passive-aggressive or something like that. Now, I can predict... I don't have a crystal ball, but I've got an idea as to what probably happened to this person. She or they or whatever they are, it said non-binary, they worked for a video game company. There happened to be some white people who worked there, and they probably had a disagreement, and one of these people that she worked with, they probably disagreed with her on something or said, hey, this idea on the game, it's not a very good idea, thanks, but we're going to move on. And rather than take that criticism or that disagreement or whatever happened, internally in her brain, she decided the reason she had these problems is white people. It wasn't that she had a bad experience or a disagreement with another human being. She just simply decided white people obviously bad. I had one bad experience, so they're all bad. Imagine the mindset. Let's say you order Uber Eats or something, and you get a knock on the door, and it's an Indian person delivering your food. And then you go to eat it and it's cold. And then your mindset, the conclusion that you come to is Indian people always deliver food cold. I'm not going to order from them again. That is the sort of thinking, the logic of this person. Everything comes back to race. You can't just have a human exchange with another person. It is literally insane. And we can see here libs of TikTok, they then tweet at EA and say, is not hiring white people because they're hard to work with part of your official policy? And again, cliffhanger devs, they're an EA studio. Now, the very sad part of this is, again, people didn't come together and say, hey, this person is obviously an idiot. They're dangerous to agree that they shouldn't be in the industry. Let's be totally honest. I'm going to be a little bit nuanced on that, but what a lot of the defenders have been saying is, oh, this is all total clickbait. It's a big nothing because the game that this person, Danny, was talking about was not the Black Panther game that is mentioned in the description for this video. She made this at a previous company. She had an indie dev company and they made their game. Now, all libs of TikTok is saying is that since this video, she's now gone on to work at Black Panther, to work on Black Panther. There is nothing incorrect about what's been said. However, these crazy individuals who will do anything to not only defend this person, but somehow blame the understandable anger that people have to think, I don't want to play games that this person is working on. They're obviously going to be no good. Look at where they're coming from. These defenders of this, who I'll show you, they're trying to say that if you watch this and you're outraged in any way, you're the fascist. You're the problem in some way. And it's been because you've been fooled by clickbait of libs of TikTok. No, nothing here is untrue. And to give some more context, are you ready to be shocked? Because you won't believe this one. If we go on this person's LinkedIn, here's Danielle, hello. Let's look at their job history. Associate Narrative Designer, Social Media Manager at Veritable Joy Studios, Sweet Baby Inc., Narrative Designer. Could you believe that the wonderful folks at Sweet Baby Inc. would hire this person? You're probably not surprised because they share the exact same mindset. This is the agenda that they want to push. They see people of a certain skin color as being dangerous, unsafe. And they want to teach everyone, your children, your children's children, to think like this as well. And if you are, say, a white person, you should hate yourself. You should feel guilty. Now, again, you can't believe this, but there are actually defenders of all this. And we can see here on the Gaming Circle Jerk subreddit, if you want to go to the cesspool of the internet, you've come to the right place. Someone says here, white people love acting like victims. Okay then, and do I need to state the obvious? In any of these scenarios, if you swapped the word white with anything else, you would be considered a deplorable. Basically, no one would defend you on any sort of side of the political aisle. Most people would be in agreement. You're an awful person if you see people by the color of their skin and nothing else. But apparently it's fine in this context. As long as you spell the word out, WHITE, if you use that word, it's all totally fine. It's acceptable. And someone comments here, minority devs. We want to create safe places for minority developers to flourish in. White whiny gamers. Did you just say death to all white people? Oh, but they've totally owned us. How could we not think of this? Now, the funny thing is, supposedly these devs are flourishing, while this awful game that woman was working on, what was it, Date Something? It's essentially just a dating sim where it's only black people because having anyone else other skin colors, that would be bad apparently. It's sold like 1,000 copies on Steam. It hasn't done very well at all, which is a good thing. Those sorts of games, I don't want them to find success when that's their mindset. They're obviously not flourishing. Things didn't go well. Probably why they had to move to EA and corrupt EA even further. I mean, I can't really see that because EA is literally at rock bottom. So at least they're not tarnishing something of any value. It is EA. But still, things didn't work out. She had to move on. So this idea that they were flourishing and now white people want to ruin it. Come on, this is peak cope. And we've got another one here. Someone says, okay, glad it wasn't just me being super confused about this obviously being rage bait. And tons of chuds in the comments. Now again, the supposed rage bait is the fact that the video wasn't recorded while she was working on Black Panther. Because she recorded that video, no context was missing at all. It's not like someone took the video out of context and she really meant something else and, oh my god, these gamers have made her look bad. No, everything she said, it's her opinion, she believes in it. It just so happened that she recorded it before she started working on Black Panther. Apparently that means if you watch it and you think, oh my god, this is really bad. If you think that, apparently it's your fault, you've been fooled, and you're just buying into rage bait, clickbait. This is just ultimate excuse making and the hypocrisy. How many times did these same people bring up a tweet from like 12 years ago and it's like maybe a questionable tweet, it's not politically correct, something like that. It's not full-blown racism where she's basically saying if you're a certain skin color, you can't work for us, which is illegal, I believe. I don't live in America, but I assume it is. Despite that they love to bring up these old tweets and cancel people, make sure they can never be employed again. If you do anything even remotely the same, and this is much worse than anything these clowns have done in the past, digging up those old social media posts, They try and act like it's a bad thing, like, oh my god, you're trying to ruin this person's livelihood. Now, I said earlier there's some nuance there. Maybe this is unpopular. Should this person be fired from their current job because of that video? I'm skeptical about that, not because I'm defending them in any way whatsoever. I wouldn't lose any sleep if they got fired, but I just know that that mindset would get weaponized against everyone else for the wrong reasons. So, for instance, they're blatantly racist. They shouldn't really have a job there if that's EA's discretion. However, I can just see a situation where someone uses the wrong pronouns, and then these idiots try and act like that's an absolute equivalent to what this woman has done, and then someone else gets fired for using the wrong pronouns or saying they don't believe that children should be allowed to transition or something. That's apparently just as bad as this racism. So that's my only concern there, that if you start to go down that path and you look for people to get fired, that it could go that way. So I might not be someone who pushes for that heavily. However, it should be exposed. People should be aware of it. You have these despicable people who claim that this should be hidden, that we shouldn't be able to see it. And this person actually says that. Shaya, I think I'm saying that right. I believe that's the person who runs the Libs of TikTok account. And all this person does is post videos like we saw. She finds unhinged people on the internet, usually of sort of the left-wing leaning political views, and posts videos where they often make themselves look like clowns. So she's not taking it all out of context, as I mentioned. She's just posting videos and basically letting them make fools of themselves. And yet some people get really, really angry about that, how apparently that's inciting hate. Simply re-uploading someone else's video, apparently that's inciting hate. Don't you understand how stupid that makes you look? It's your content that's being re-uploaded. If people are getting clowned on for it, maybe look in the mirror. But this person says Shaya should probably be sued into oblivion, in my opinion, and arrested for enabling stochastic terrorism. So apparently just posting this video of a woman being full-blown racist, that's terrorism in this person's eyes. What is going on? And this person signs off with this. I mean, how dare oppressed people make a space for themselves? The horror! This isn't a space. This is a workplace. She was working in a job, hiring people, or at least she was part of that process. She knew about that process. And they specifically were not hiring people based on their skin color. I am almost certain it is illegal. It's very illegal where I live. I'm sure it is everywhere else. And this is people's livelihoods. Again, if the shoe was on the other foot, this person would probably end up in jail or something. It would get absolutely hectic. It would be national news to some degree. A company doing this and blatantly putting videos out there online, bragging about it. If you agree with this in any way, if you think it's acceptable, you're so far down the rabbit hole that you cannot be helped. Sadly, this is what's happening in the video game industry. Apparently, this is a contentious issue to some degree. There's people who work at these studios who agree with this. Probably at EA as well, it sounds like, given they're employed there. They are clowns, and I'm sure there's going to be more of this very soon. Thanks so much for listening. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye.